What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Dreams to Reality podcast. And yes, we are here in a studio with another special guest. And do you know what? This is the first guest we've had on the podcast who has actually been in one of my talks. I've said that. You have been in one of my talks, right? Okay, there you go. But anyway, welcome to the podcast, Holly Curthoys.
Yeah.
There you go. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
How old was you when you heard me talk? And what school was it?
It was Mangotsfield Secondary School.
Okay.
And I was probably about 14, 13. Yeah, so
That's
2013.
And then from there you was like, God, he's so tall and super cool. So then you followed me on Instagram, is that correct?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, right. So I came across your page because you've got a very, very fascinating story. Mm-hmm. You've really been through it. Mm-hmm. Right now you're a cheerleader for England, is that correct? And also, you went World Championships, is it, or something like that?
Yeah, it's the World Championships in Florida. So I've been there twice now.
Is it in Florida every year?
Yeah, every April.
Every April, amazing. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't always an easy journey for you, especially to become top of the game at something. I was shocked when I kind of read your GoFundMe page, and I actually read what you've been through. So let's take it back a little bit to your family situation, your life situation. Where was you kind of born, and how was that whole part of your life, say the early stages going into secondary school? How was that? Was everything normal?
Yeah, my whole childhood, everything normal. So always been in Bristol, born in Bristol. Whole family's from Bristol. Yeah, a really good childhood. And school for me was on and off. So primary school, I was quite shy. I was just a typical, small girl, glasses, didn't talk much. And then confidence started in secondary school, really. So, yeah. But
How was secondary school for you? Was you into cheerleading at this point? Was you into sports generally? Or was you still trying to find yourself and still trying to grow as a person? How was that whole process?
So up to starting secondary school, I was a gymnast for 10 years. And then it came to year 7, and then I joined cheerleading then. But I really enjoyed secondary school.
Where did you do cheerleading? It's not really a thing you hear of, is it, really?
No, it's really new in the UK, really. But Phoenix All-Stars in Longwell Green. That's where I first started off. And that's where my whole cheerleading journey started, really.
So, talk to me a little bit. What happened when you was 13 years old? Was it 13 years old?
I was 13, yeah.
So, what year is that? That's year 8?
Yeah, year 8, nearly year 9.
Year 8, year 9. Talk to me, what happened then?
So, just sat in a maths lesson, just doing my work, and then suddenly just started feeling like unwell, just a bit rubbish. And then all of a sudden this is what I've been told now, that my teacher was trying to do the register, something like that. Wasn't really paying any attention, wasn't responding, which then he noticed my face had dropped completely one side.
When you mean dropped, like just...
Yeah, so the typical symptoms, the face drooping one side, the speech slurring, not being able to walk or talk or anything like that. So that's when he went to get help, and I was just put in a medical room, and then my mum was notified then that I was showing signs of a stroke and stuff like that.
But did you still think it was a stroke?
I can't really remember it happening, if I'm honest. It was only until I got to hospital and started remembering when I was having scans and everything like that, that's when it clicked that I knew something was going on. So.
Wow, that must have been terrifying at the age of 13. So did you have a stroke? You had a stroke?
It was a TIA, so it was classed as a mini stroke. Yeah.
Okay, and how is that normal? Has that happened? Has anybody in your family had a stroke before? Is it quite...
Not when I had my stroke.
Okay.
So went there and all my scans were normal, and I wasn't actually believed at all.
To have a stroke? You're 13 years old. Why would you have a stroke? Is that what they're kind of thinking?
Yeah. So I was in hospital for nearly 2 weeks with them saying they don't know what was going on. They blamed it on like school anxiety and yeah, they didn't actually initially believe me. So I went away from that hospital visit not classed as a stroke, nothing like that. They just don't know what happened. It was only until a year later that I was at like a family gathering, and my dad started having symptoms of a stroke, and his was like the typical face dropping, the speech slurring, the arms and legs not cooperating.
How old was you then, sorry?
So this is a year later.
Okay,
I was 14.
14.
And then he went to hospital, and it was confirmed he had a stroke then. And then my mum works in cardiology as a secretary, so she was asking people, like, could I be tested for the same thing? Like, my dad's heart condition that they found when he had the stroke, could I be tested for the same thing? Which they agreed. And then...
How was that? Was that quite terrifying, seeing your dad go through that?
Yeah, because I knew all of those symptoms is exactly what I had. So then, in a way, it was like...
Is it painful?
I wouldn't say painful, you just feel numb. Just numb.
So it's like the opposite of pain.
Because I couldn't feel my left leg for around 2 weeks. You just...
Wow.
Especially without not being believed by medical professionals as well. It's
So
just
it's like them.
frustrating.
Wow. So like you're like, I can't feel my leg, and they're like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You just got anxiety at school.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. So then your dad had the stroke. How long did it take him to recover?
Literally a few days. He was back to work within 2 weeks, I
That's
think.
scary.
Yeah.
So then what did what caused it?
So they found out he had a PFO, which is what I found out I had in the end.
Explain what is that?
So a PFO is stands for patent forma ovale, which is the hole that's meant to shut when you're a baby, like the first few breaths. But 25% of the population doesn't shut for. So 1 in 4 people have it.
Holy shit.
And then what happens is it can like grow, and then as you go on flights or something, your blood clots or gets thinner, and clots went through that hole and then up to the brain, which caused the stroke. So
and that happened to you at the age of 13? Wow.
So that's what happened with my dad as well, because he went on a flight a month before, and then the blood clot that they found in his leg would have gone through the PFO.
Is it life-threatening?
It can be. Yeah. Because obviously if we didn't recover as well as we did, strokes can easily kill people within minutes and hours.
So was you, around this time, were you still doing cheerleading? Was you still doing different things, or?
So I was literally just starting cheerleading.
Okay.
So I'd got onto the competition team to do competitions and everything, and then obviously had this massive setback, so I had to take like a year away from it.
Yeah. Wow. So when was the second one?
So the second one was November 2017, just before Christmas-ish.
Not too long ago.
No.
So I guess you can remember this one a lot more clearly.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I was a gymnastics coach at the time, and then realised I started feeling a bit strange again, and then realised my arm wasn't working as fast as it should have been. So I went up to my boss and everything. I was like, I think it's happening again. So I went straight to hospital where they done a scan, and then they put it down again to having this blood clot that's gone up to my brain, a mini stroke again.
And how was that?
Yeah, so I went home the same day because all my symptoms completely resolved the same day. But obviously terrifying again to know that
of course
it can happen at any time now.
So did you go back to coaching straight away? Did you go back to training straight away? Did the training was affected at all, or not really?
Yeah, so it was affected because,
of course,
can't do as much you can if you've got weaknesses one side or whatever. Can't do things normally. So.
And then it comes down to essentially a heart condition.
Yeah.
So then, let me take it back. So when I went on your GoFundMe page, you're about $2,500 in, and it looked like you needed to raise £16,000 for a heart operation. Why did you need to raise that money, and why couldn't it have been done on the NHS?
I know. So my dad was lucky enough to be one of the last people to actually had it funded on the NHS. But because there was no funding around the time, I found out I had the same heart condition, there was no funding for it. They completely stopped it because 25% of the population have got it, but...
Wow, so they can't really do nothing about it?
No, they've just stopped. It's still available. You can pay privately to have it done, but NHS won't.
And that was £16,000. So what was you trying to do to raise that money? Or was it just literally in the background? Because really, you could have had another stroke any time.
Yeah, within that time. So I was just on normal blood thinners, just aspirin a couple of times. And then obviously I set up the GoFundMe page the same day I had my second stroke, in hope that something was going to happen. Reaching out to a few people to see if I could do anything to raise money, which it really didn't go anywhere in those 2 years. And then all of a sudden, it just blew up all of a sudden.
How?
So my Instagram followers went up, and I was promoting for different companies, and they would share my stories and stuff like that. And then the BBC approached me and asked if they could do a story on me, which I was like really keen to do. It was all to do with my cheerleading, all to do with my heart condition, stuff like that. And then they were like, yeah, we'll put it out there. So since it's gone out there, that's when I had random donations, which I still had donations, but it still wasn't quite enough for what I had to raise. And then I had a email sent to me a few weeks after the BBC interviewed me, and it was basically saying like, I work for this person, I want to pay for your operation, like full stop, send me the details. And for a few days I put it off. I was like, it's fake, no one's ever going to pay like the rest of the operation.
How much was that?
It was 10 grand they were offering towards my operation.
Wow.
And I said,
do you respond and say, actually, it's 20 grand?
So, yeah, I didn't tell no one for a few days. Didn't tell my mum, didn't tell anyone. Cause
you get dodgy emails all the time, don't you? So it's like...
I was like, is someone pulling my leg? Like, I know it's not real. And then that's when I was like, okay, maybe it is real. So I did reply. And then that's when they said, like, we don't want to put it in your GoFundMe because we've had it in the past. People have just disappeared and, like, took our money and stuff like that. So I was like, that's fair enough. But so they wanted the hospital details so they could put it straight into the hospital. So then obviously with my mum working at the hospital I'd have it at, it helped because she could go directly to the people that organise private operations and put them in contact with this person emailing me. And then straight away they put the money straight into the hospital.
Just like that?
Yeah.
Just like that? And then what did that do to you? Like, was it like, oh, this is happening now?
So it was obviously a really big shock because 10 grand, I couldn't raise that with just what I was doing anyway. But yeah, straight away they were like, we'll find out a date for you and then you'll come in.
And how quick was that? From when the money went in to...
About 2 weeks.
Is that it?
Yeah. That's
so it's all recently, so it's all happened in like the last 2-3 months?
Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
Wow. So then, because you was going to do a podcast with us and then you had your operation the next day, I think.
Yeah.
So is it a life-threatening operation? Is it a dangerous operation? Because to me, a heart operation sounds like they're about to cut open your chest.
Yeah.
And something serious is about to go down. Was that the case or no?
No, so there's so much research and stuff now that you don't have to do that. Years and years ago you would have had to do that. But now it is literally just straight up your groin.
Up your where?
Groin, up your groin.
For a heart operation?
Yeah. So they are feeding this tiny little device. It's like this big, 18 millimeters, my size was. And they're feeding it through this tube that goes... You've got cameras going down your throat, you've got stuff going up your leg, and then they meet it in the middle where they just fuse it all together.
Whilst you're asleep?
Yeah, I was asleep.
How mad is that?
Yeah.
So how long was the operation?
Probably by the time I went to sleep, I woke up in recovery about an hour.
No way. Is
Speedy
it
with stuff.
guaranteed? And that cost 16 grand. Robin. 16 grand for an hour's work. Oh my word.
Yeah, so that's why I don't get why it's not funded, because that to me now, I've got the same chance as having a stroke as like anyone else. When having the hole in my heart, I was at a big risk of having them.
Could the stroke been a lot worse though, as
Sorry?
well? Could if you had another stroke, could it have been a lot worse?
Yeah.
Because the first time seemed a bit serious, but then
Yeah.
the second one wasn't as bad.
Nowhere near.
So it could literally go any way.
So the 2 strokes I had are TIAs, which is like classed as mini strokes. When if I didn't have the hole shut, I could have had a major stroke, a major brain bleed, like a hemorrhage, anything like that, and it could have killed me in hours. That's what I mean. There's a load of people out there with the same heart condition that could just die at any minute if they have another stroke.
So really, you're lucky, 1, that you was in school, and 2, that your dad was also in a family party, essentially.
Yeah.
So what would normally happen if you was by yourself watching Coronation Street, for example, on a Thursday night? Would there be a chance that you might not even know you had a stroke?
No. So if I was on my own, like I was in 2013, well, obviously I wasn't alone, I don't think I would have survived it, because I can't even remember it. So let alone know what to do if I was on my own in that situation.
Wow. So how have you stayed so like positive on your mission? You've only recently had the operation, so how have you carried on? What do you do for a job? What's your job?
I'm an ambulance care assistant.
Okay.
So I basically help paramedics and stuff like that.
Okay.
And assist with jobs and take patients to hospital and from hospital.
That's quite a serious job then. Do you
fun.
enjoy it?
Yeah, I love it. It's so fun.
Oh yeah, just for everybody at home, because I don't think we mentioned it. How old are you?
19.
So for everyone, she's 19 years old, right? 19 years old. Wow, so that job alone, you've probably seen some sights.
And before that, I was working in children's A&E.
Nah, I couldn't do that, right? My obviously, as you've probably seen on Instagram, I got a young baby, and he had problems like reflux and stuff. And we had to take him to the hospital. He had like an appointment there, and there's some children there, and in tears. I couldn't do it. How do you keep like your own personal feelings and emotions out of that stuff, or do you just don't?
I think it personally helps that I don't have children myself, because
So you're ruthless, you don't care.
it's not.
Get out. Go on.
So I switch off my emotions completely at work, but the second I get home, that's when I'm like, think about it a bit more. But at work, you've got that job to do, and you can't really put your emotions before other people.
So like you're quite driven as far as the lines as professionally and also personally with your cheerleading and stuff. So until literally very recently, how did you like not constantly worry that you were going to have this major stroke and something was going to drag you down and you couldn't do either? Because a lot of people, if they had that type of condition, is it a condition, would you say?
It's class,
if they had that type of condition, I think people would take it a lot more easy and also use it as some type of excuse to not do anything.
Yeah, so...
Have you met anybody like that? You don't have to say names, but is that quite common, or...?
So being part of my cheerleading squad is called Paracheer. So it's a mixture of disabled and non-disabled athletes.
Okay.
So a lot of people on the team have had things that are life-threatening and stuff like that. So being on a team and being that supported around people, you do forget about your health and stuff like that. You don't really... To me, it's never really brought me down.
You're not even... You just focused on your goals and gone ahead.
Yeah.
So, at the moment, when you're older, do you want kids eventually one day?
Yeah, one day.
Does that mean they could potentially have the same?
Yeah, so...
Is there a high chance, because you've had it and your dad's had it, does it run through the family?
It's like 50-50, they do or they don't. So obviously with my dad having it, I've had it.
You
so my sister
you
could
better
have
start
it.
saving. Keep those contact details and call up. Listen.
Yeah, so it is high chance that a lot of people in my family have got it. So.
Does that worry you a little bit?
Yeah, because to be tested for it, you've got to have like regular migraines and stuff like that, which my sister has started to get, and she's 15.
Oh Wow.
So she may get tested for it in future, but then at the same time she's gone past that point of where I had my stroke, and now she's all of a sudden starting to get migraines and stuff.
But I guess
like
your
that.
dad probably didn't have one until...
Exactly, so...
I'd send an email now if I was you. Say,
Yeah.
listen.
We need you back.
Yeah. Oh, so how's your sister feel about it? Where's your sister's head at with it all?
Yeah, so she's obviously been really supportive of it. Yeah, she just kind of cracks on. She does her competitive gymnastics as well, so sport has always been part of like mine and my sister's lives, so that's always a massive distraction from like anything medical and stuff like that. You just completely switch off your thoughts from it.
So what's next for you?
So hopefully in September I'm gonna try out for the England squad for the 3rd year.
Okay.
So
September's the trials. Do you train for it? How do you practice?
yeah, so obviously with me having my operation, I'm not actually allowed to train for a couple of months.
Oh.
So I'm hoping to just go there and do my best without training.
We don't recommend that, guys, okay? But you're just going to go and try your best.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Do you know the coaches quite well?
Yeah, so the coaches are new every year. They have to try out themselves. But yeah, I'm really close with the head coaches and the management team.
So hopefully they might understand that if you're not as sharp as you normally might be, then there's obviously a big reason behind why, essentially.
Yeah, it all depends on new athletes trying out and old athletes trying out. So
when I think of like cheerleading, I think of like American football, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Is that quite common?
Yeah.
So obviously I used to play American football and stuff. You rolled your eyes when I said that. Why did you roll your eyes? What is the big deal?
There's always such a stereotype of cheerleading, the pom-poms and running across football pitches. It's just not that at all.
What is it then?
So it's a team-based sport. You're flying. So I'm a flyer, so I get chucked up like one arm, two arms.
No, that's not good.
Flying upside down, and then there's tumbling, so gymnastics side of it, so backflips and stuff like that.
Is it like that film from back in the day? What's it called? Oh, it's like an American film.
Bring It On.
Was it Bring It On from back in the 90s, I think, or early 2000s?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what it is?
Yeah, so, yeah.
I think you'd be good at that, Dave. So, like, is it some people's jobs, or is it all just not amateur stuff because the athletes are unreal? But is there a lot of money what goes into cheerleading? Is there you said it's growing over here. So how long's it been growing? How long has it been a thing? Really?
Over here, I'd say probably in the last 20 years, 15 years, it's got
starting to grow.
Yeah. So athletes over here don't really use cheerleading as a job because it's not really a thing. But obviously the coaches that have their locations and everything, that's their jobs to like maintain the classes and open up their gyms and stuff like that. But in America, I know someone who has just got made a team over there, and it's one of the biggest teams in the world. And he's just moved there, and that's classed as his job now.
Wow.
So in America, they're just like.
And the competitions are your team against other teams, and it's who's got the best performance, I imagine.
Yeah, so it's all done on like a point basis. You get marked for different things, like all your stunting, so that's the flying, and then you get marked on like the jumps and the tumbling side of it. So
would you move to America for it?
Have
you considered it?
I don't think I would because of my job. I do see it as more of a hobby and stuff like that, but no.
So what your job now, where do you want to take your job? Because you've got quite a good job and quite a serious job at such a young age, really.
Yeah.
Where do you see it going? Do you want to carry on doing what you're doing, or?
Yeah, so I just love my job at the moment. So I'm hoping to go up to like a paramedic level, because that's always what I've been interested in as a child, like always there with like little medic kits out, like treating like my family and stuff. And then obviously being in hospital a lot because of my strokes and stuff like that has always just drove me to to do stuff.
So
for
how
other
do you go
people.
from where you are now to becoming a paramedic? How do you do that?
So you don't always have to go to uni now. There's different access courses you can go on. So at the moment, I'm just happy how I'm doing. Like, I'm not really doing urgent stuff. I'd like to, like, soon.
But you don't have to go to uni.
No, so there's different courses. There's ones that you can do courses and then go to Birmingham for the year. And then they do, like, a 1-year uni course.
Okay, so you have to do that. Okay.
But that's at the moment that there's new stuff coming in all the time too. So to get up to that level.
Because there's people who go to uni, they're like 25, 26, who still don't have the same experience that what you probably got in the ambulance being only 19 years old.
Yeah.
So that alone, the experience you probably gained and perspective you've gained over the last couple of years. I mean, you're 19, but you've probably had the same experience of a 39-year-old, in such a short period.
Yeah.
Health problems in the family, also yourself, and then with your job as well, because I imagine you see all different walks of life.
Yeah, so obviously working in children's A&E, you do see things from little tiny minor things to patients that have unfortunately passed away. So gaining that experience through the job, as in like an apprenticeship side of it, I always think that's a lot better than going down the uni route, because you are just sat in a classroom doing stuff like that, when I've done apprenticeships and stuff like that, and I wouldn't choose another way around how I've done it now.
Is it hard though, working for the NHS, knowing that they couldn't just give you a quick 10 grand, 16 grand just for the operation?
Yeah, so when I was in A&E, I was working for the NHS, but the company I'm with now, I don't work for the NHS.
You don't work for the NHS?
And that is one of the reasons why I have left working for the NHS. So I'm with a private company now.
So why... Obviously, you said a huge amount of percentage of people have similar to what you have. Most people will never know.
No.
So, like, you kind of work for a private company now. So what problems would you say is facing NHS? What would you say? Is that a big issue? Because obviously it's very personal to you. It's very close to home. So once again, I guess people you pick up and stuff like that, you do have a different perspective, and you can offer some type of help or guidance at least, or an opinion, because you've been through it. And it could have been serious where it could have changed your life literally forever. Luckily you managed to get the operation, but some people, they're not so lucky.
No.
So, like, how do you, like, carry that? Are you still quite, not bitter, because you're not bitter, but, like, does it still kind of rile you up a little bit?
Yeah, it still does really frustrate me, because I know from working there that there is a massive list of people that desperately need this procedure, but because they can't, because of their circumstances, like, I couldn't just afford it like that, or they don't have the resources like posting it online or reaching out to people. There is people that are just at constant risk all the time, which does make me angry, because without me having this procedure, I wouldn't have been able to do as much as I do now. So, but it's not just my kind of procedure. There is loads of patients that I've picked up that have
different
said,
things.
I can't have this because there's no funding. I can't have
people's
this.
waiting for donors and stuff like
Exactly.
that. A wide range of different things. So, being so young, is there anything you could do to build awareness? Are you still gonna fight this battle? Are you doing anything at the moment? Because you've raised obviously have got quite a big following now on Instagram, on social media, so that kind of works to your advantage. And obviously you're also very, very driven as well.
Yeah.
So what can you do? What is the answer to this stuff? Is there an answer? I don't know. I'm playing devil's advocate here, but is there an answer?
So I am hoping to just carry on raising awareness. I'm not thinking it as, oh, well, I've had mine, it's fine, I'll just leave it there. I am hoping to get this funded on the NHS. I am hoping to do another story with the BBC or other magazines and stuff like that to keep pushing.
And that's why you're doing today as well, because there's obviously people who's going to be watching this. There's going to be some of your followers, and people might even be quite close to you and not really understand actually what you've been through and what you've currently going through. Because hopefully, obviously, touch wood, it doesn't happen, but it could happen to your sister. And it's just like, it could go round in a circle. And unless awareness is being shared about this type of thing, not just what you've gone through, donors, everything, I think what you're doing is definitely a positive move, and to show people that you're still being active, you're still competing at a high level, and you're working in your job. You're focused.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your job, right? So I know I keep talking about your age. I do apologize, but being a female, 19 years old in your industry, when you probably get quite a lot of older people you work with, maybe or look after. Did you have to demand your respect, or was everyone just lovely off the bat, and you'd be like, or did you feel like you might have got treated a little bit different, and you had to show people that you're here to stay?
Yeah.
Did you have to fight for that?
Yeah, so I still feel like I do. So when I've turned up to pick patients up from their home or take them home, they're like, oh, like, you're weak, like, you don't look very strong and stuff like this. And you do feel like saying, like, you wouldn't be saying that if you didn't know my story. Like, I'm here after fighting through all that I have been through. So
yeah,
it is frustrating, but at my work, loads of the staff know about what I have been through, and they are so respectful. And yeah, my work is so supportive of everything that has happened.
Amazing. So I normally ask a lot of my guests this, right? If you could sit down with any three people, dead or alive, famous, whatever, what three people would these? What three people?
Definitely David Attenborough.
Oh, okay. I think that's the
Attenborough.
first time we've heard. That's a good one. Okay,
Yeah.
why?
Oh, he's just so funny. I don't know.
He's funny.
Yeah, he just makes me laugh, all of his documentaries. Yeah, he's just so, like, inspiring, and there's
way
no
he
one
talks,
kind of
man.
like him, is there?
I'd be happy to die if he, like, narrated my death, you know?
Yeah, like, stood there at the funeral.
And at this moment, Cameron's closed his eyes. Anyway, who else?
Stephen Hawkins.
Oh, okay. These are really good ones. Why?
I feel like, not like I am Stephen Hawkins, but, like, he's gone through being really smart at university, like a normal person, and then he's suddenly had all of his health complications, which has just took that all away from him, but he's still driven to continue
Literally
and inspire people.
Yeah. Can I say that? Is that bad? Can I say that? Is it? I'm in my position supposed to say that? I'm sorry, guys. Come on, it's just a joke. I'm sorry.
Third person.
It's gone from bad to worse. Go again. Sorry. Your third person. Who'd be the third? Delete.
Yeah. I don't know.
You got one more.
Probably just someone, just completely random.
Like who? Just
Like-
somebody from the street.
Yeah, like someone homeless, or just go and speak to them for a bit and understand why they're in that situation. And
Is that because, I guess in your line of work, everybody's got a story. Everybody goes through their own battles. Everybody struggles.
so you could be just walking through the city centre, walk past all these people that look normal and stuff, but really you don't know what they've gone through. So if I was just walking down the road now, no one would know what I've gone through. No one would have guessed I've had 2 strokes. So I guess everyone's got a story.
That's crazy. So what happens if you have a bad day, but you still have to go to work, and you got a very important job?
Yeah, I like to think I completely switch, like, my home life and my work life off. So when I get home, if I have had a bad day, I speak about it just to get it off my chest and stuff like that. But at the same time, you do just completely switch off your emotions.
You're going to have to,
work.
I guess.
Yeah.
Is it quite an intense environment?
It can be. Yeah, it all depends on, like, your crewmates and stuff like that as well. So that has a massive impact. So if you've got a good crewmate that's really supportive and stuff like that, and everyone at work, you know that there is support there. And if you are having a bad day, there is always people that you can talk to. But yeah, no.
Amazing. Awesome. So where can people find you and find more about your story?
So my GoFundMe link is still linked into my Instagram bio.
Yeah.
So I'm taking no more donations, but my story is still there.
Okay, so check that out, guys. And what is your Instagram name?
So it's Holly_Curthoys_.
Got that, guys. All right, brilliant. I just want to say, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, the reason why I wanted you in today is because you do have a young, inspiring story. And I honestly feel like I wanted you to get you on the podcast because I feel like what you're going to do over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years is going to be huge. And it'd be good to try and track what you're doing.
Yeah,
and if there's anything we can do to help, then just do reach out to us. But honestly, I feel like you're such a strong person, and I feel like so many people can learn from your story, especially a lot of school kids and children, because they quit at the first kind of obstacle they even come up in touch with, you know. And to see you overcome having a stroke, overcoming school still, not only going through school, doing what you're doing now as a profession, and also doing the cheerleading as well, it's pretty amazing. So good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
With that said, guys, that's another episode of the Dreams to Reality Academy or podcast, bit of both. But make sure you hit that big red button, subscribe, and remember, you can either have excuses or you can have results, but you cannot have both.
Clapping, you know.
Come on, raise, clap.
Really involving people.
Who was that?
So again, you know, that's something that